And we're live. Sam Brown here for the Reasonable Wealth Project. Tom Cassidy, our normal host, is out in the camping in the deep woods of England. And so as you can imagine, there's not too much Wi-Fi available around there. So he asked me to take over this week's hangout, which I was really honored and chuffed to do, because this is the end of the inaugural cycle for Reasonable Wealth, and this has been a really cool quarter for me, and I hope it has been for all of you out there too. This week's focus it's based on science, and that's really one of the aims of this project. It's a 13-year longitudinal study on wealth creation and the fact that it is based on science. Of course, we all know that a lot of this is the foundation basement of Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich, just a seminal book, and really I think overshadowed by a lot of the get rich quick schemes that are going on. And we're going to prove over this time by making individuals ridiculously wealthy, and not just in terms of money, but in terms of what we all know what true wealth is. True wealth is an abundant life, living from your own abundance, where you are truly centered, and it's only our lack of understanding of that really keeps us separated from that. But we're going to prove it, and we're going to go through the process of going through this 13 by 4, one focus point at a time. Because from what we understand, the marginal gains are so impactful because they build on themselves over time, and it's really the fastest way to make life-changing make changes in your life. And I say the fastest, it may seem like it's slow, but it really is the fastest, because as opposed to just jumping into something and doing it for 30 days straight, and you look around and say, okay, now what? We're just going to focus on one thing at a time. And we're at the end of the cycle. We've been through all 13. This week's focus is, yes, it is science-based. And again, that's what we're going to prove. This week not only is the focus on the science of it, and again, one of the helpers for this algorithm is what's as helpful is better than true. And that's true with a little t. We'll get into the big T later. But is it helpful? And this is something, man, it used to drive me crazy, because I have an engineering background. I'm kind of technically oriented, so I want the details. I want to know the whys of the kind of stuff. And if someone were to tell you something like, hey, by the way, focusing on gratitude can make you more wealthy, and when you first approach that, you're like, well, okay, well, where does this backed up for that? And so one of the helper algorithm for this week just absolutely floors anything my script throws at me in terms of like, well, wait a minute, what about this? Now, don't believe anything that we're telling you. Don't believe that anything anybody tells you. The only person that can truly know what's useful and true for you is you. But what can be helpful is this concept of, well, would it be helpful to believe that gravity could make me more wealthy, or is that true? You know, maybe I don't necessarily need to nail down the truth of that statement right off the bat. Let me just go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to deem this as helpful. What would I choose? I would choose that it would be helpful. These guys say it would be helpful. Let's give it a whirl. And that's kind of the overarching aspect to all of these programs, is that it's impossible for you to get you wrong. And that's something that I think is really important, because a lot of people, they hem and haw about, well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I don't feel like I'm moving fast enough, I'm not really growing the way I want to grow. And just focus, by whatever you focus on, it gives power to. And so if you're struggling with something, you're giving more power to it, which is really kind of interesting. And we'll get into a lot more of that later. But back to the science of getting rich. Of course, this Reasonable Wealth course is based on the book that we have all been studying, Science of Getting Rich, and it's part of the assessment this week, because not only from a scientific standpoint, but from a data gathering standpoint is what this week's also for. So we have a little self-assessment form that we'd really appreciate if you filled out, and what we'll do is over the course of the next few days and before the end of the week is compile all of the data and then represent it to everybody. Of course, your name won't be used. It's going to be just abstract data. But I'm really excited to see what's going on, because some of the questions, you'll begin to see some movement in the right direction. You know, where we always talk about, like, if over here is not doing anything and over here is where you want to be. the marginal gains concept, just a little bit every single day, and you will pick up unimaginable speed before you know it. Let's jump over to the questioning. Again, this shouldn't take very long to do it all. So the form is really just a chance for us to get some feedback and to understand if it's to compare the data and see where we're at. It's really not something you should spend a lot of time on. You can just kind of bang through it. Of course, we have our 13x4 wheel here. We are in the focus of the center, where it is based on science. Absolutely. And this is part of the process to helping prove that. Now, this beginning part of the form was what we filled out at the very beginning, and it's just kind of a benchmark. If this is your first time entering the program, or this next cycle is going to be your very first cycle, let this be your benchmark. If you're on cycle 2 and you filled this out last time, again, just give us some base estimates for this kind of stuff. And it's to help track some of this. Now, for example, like estimate the number of maintainable days moving forward. In 13 weeks, it's possible that hasn't changed very much. Or the monthly income, it's possible that hasn't changed very much. It's certainly possible it has. People have made fortunes in much less time. But here's some really interesting stuff. Estimate your current work-life balance out of 100. These questions 3, 4, and 5 for me are like off the charts better. I mean, just crazy off the charts better. Estimate your current general satisfaction with your life out of 100. You know, it's really interesting, as I think we're going to find, so this number is going to move a lot for a lot of people, because the act of awareness, the daily focusing on something, automatically brings more joy into your life, because you can actually feel the joy of growth every single day. Estimate your current awareness out of 100. Man, for those of y'all on the WhatsApp chat group, I would imagine this number has jumped a lot too. The WhatsApp chat group is definitely not for everybody. It's a lot of activity, so if you don't like your phone blowing up 50 times a day, 50 times an hour, okay, I'll be serious. It may not be for you, but for some people who like the 365, 7 days a week engagement of always having someone there, and it's really interesting because the chats have grown into quite a lovely experience there, with a lot of people making a lot of strides and sharing a lot too, and that's what it's definitely about. You know, none of us is better than anybody else. They're just maybe someone that's had a couple of experiences that can help out, and it's certainly contributed to my growth. So this is the fun part of the form. Okay, the core principles. Let me read this real quick. This is the last line in the book, and I think it's there for a reason. This is literally the entire book summed up in one sentence. The men and women who practice the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich, and the riches they receive will be in exact proportion to the definiteness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, the steadiness of their faith, and the depths of their gratitude. Man, that's a really powerful line right there, and it's one of the reasons why it's one of the algorithms, because it is such a powerful line. So these questions are regarding that. So how definite is your vision? For example, if you let's say you've gone through the cycle, one of the weeks we focus on a vision, and so one of the goals is definitely to create a vision of just a cartoon version of your life. I mean, something that is so beyond where you are now and what you even think is possible, that it just drives your script crazy. Your script is like, no way, it can't be that awesome. I'm here to tell you, not only can it be, but it absolutely will be if you follow the foregoing instructions that are given in this book, and definitely follow along with some of these algorithms. So if this is your first cycle, if you're just coming into the program, or you're even brand new, you know, you may not have a definite vision at all. You may even have, like I had before I started this program, I always focused on goal setting until I realized how terrible I am at reaching goals. And I found out the reason why about that. But, you know, you may not even have a vision. But if you don't, that's going to be something we're going to work on, because that is absolutely critical. It's critical to your development. It really is. And we'll go more into that during that week's sessions. How fixed is your purpose? This is really funny. This the definition of this word purpose in this context is the reason why I met Tom Cassidy, because I had studied the Science of Getting Rich book for a couple years and was really into it. And in today's language, purpose can be misconstrued to be like what's your why behind why you want to achieve the vision. And that's all well and good, but purpose is like your drive. How definite are you that you're going to achieve this? How fixed are you in that every single day you're going to focus on, whether it's just using marginal gains, but you're going to use your awareness, you're going to use your metaphysical powers to believe in that vision and purpose to make it happen. So how fixed is your purpose? I mean, in regards to your vision, is it something that you just kind of, I'm just going to, even thinking about it is an action, but is it something that you're moving towards with purpose? Are you on purpose? And that's really critical, because when you are on purpose, not only are you going to bring out your best, but you're just going to skyrocket the joy in your life, because you can actually feel yourself growing just a little bit every single day. How steady is your faith? Now, this is not necessarily faith in terms of religious faith, although it is it's a very close kinship to that concept. But how steady is your faith in your vision? How steady is your faith that the universe wants to see you succeed more than you do? How steady is your faith in your own ability to manifest, to really create, to really engineer your own reality exactly as you want it? And that's really critical. And all these are interrelated, because the more faith you have, the more purpose you're going to feel. The more purpose you feel, the more definite your vision is going to become, because you can actually see it beginning to manifest in small little steps every single day. The next one, gratitude, is the seeds of faith. The person who lives in constant states of gratitude, your faith is just going to skyrocket, because when you're in gratitude, when you're using it like a verb, when you are being grateful, your faith is through the roof, because in gratitude, all you see is the good in everyone and everything, and you're able to draw out so much juice out of life in terms of finding the most seemingly mundane things, just miracles. There's tiny miracles in your life every single day. All you gotta do is look for them. Trust me. So, how steady is your faith in your and really overall? How steady is your faith in the fact that this program works, or the fact that there is a science of getting rich, or in your vision? This is a multi-layered question, but it's something that I think you'll also see a movement if you've gone through the program, the first 13 weeks here. And how deep is your gratitude? Man, guys, gratitude is metaphysical oxygen. It just is the cohesive aspect of every single thing. There's a lot of love in the universe, man. All you got to do is look for it. Right under your nose, there are things that you can be so incredibly grateful for. And when you're grateful, when you're coming from that position, you're going to give off such an impression of increase. You're going to give off a radiant energy that every single person that comes in contact with you wants to be around. And not only wants to be around, but wants more of. And it may not even be able to put their finger on it. It's like, there's something about this individual, and I just want to be around them more. And the reason is because your soul is shining, man. And whether people can see it or not, they can absolutely tell. It's like magnetism. You can't see those waves that magnet's sending out, but when you're coming from a deep place of gratitude, and able to find gratitude in just the most mundane things. One of the examples I always use is, I have clean drinking water at work, like 3 feet away from me. It's crystal clear, it's ice cold, it's amazing. And how much of the planet, struggles to find clean drinking water on a daily basis, and I have it right here. It's a huge source of gratitude, where ordinarily it's just a simple mundane fact. But when you're coming from that place of gratitude, it's going to make the joy in your life explode, because you begin to look and see the good in all things. And all of these things are totally related. The more grateful you are, the more faith you're going to have. The more grateful you are, the more purpose you're going to have. The more faith you have in your vision, the more you're going to see yourself doing it and becoming real. And number 10, the last question here is, how would you rate your adherence to this program? This is an important one, and just be honest, hey man, no, I didn't pay attention to anything, that'd be a 0. Or, yeah, I was involved every single week. I may not have seen every video or hangout, but yeah, I'm tuned in. I'm tuned into the program every single week. That would be 100. And it's going to be interesting because I don't know. It's going to be interesting when this begins to play out over the next few years to really see, because this is something I'm going to practice these algorithms forever. And so I think a lot of people are going to find themselves in that boat too, where they go from kind of first coming onto the program and being like, oh, this is kind of cool, to like fully adopting this into their life. So let me jump back over here and turn the screen share off. Boom. So that's the self-assessment questionnaire. It won't take more than 3 minutes to fill out. Please do. And what we'll do, not only is this week a focus on it's a science, but it's also an opportunity for us to gather this data and present it back to the group in a format where your name is not going to be associated with it, and none of those details are important. What's important is to see the overall growth of the data. And this is really exciting because I'm just so excited to be a part of something like this, because if Tom had a vision to lay out a long-term vision for 13 years, we're going to study these principles, and we're going to not only test them in individuals, we're going to test them on organizations, we're going to test them on structures, we're going to test them on larger groups. But just in the short 13 weeks, I can tell you what an impact this has had on my life, and I think a lot of the people that have come along with us have also felt a pretty big impact. It's going to be a great thing to see. But to really lay out a case, a foundation, a scientific study of wealth creation through the creative plane, and that's a real important aspect, because the entire world right now is built on competitive plane. And if you've read the book, and if you haven't, I would encourage you to read it. It's really, really good. If you've read the book, you know that when you generate wealth from the creative plane, you help hundreds of thousands of others do the same. When you generate wealth from the competitive plane, as Waddell says, you throw down the ladder behind you, because you're operating from a mentality of scarcity, and that's just that's one of the big illusions that we're presented with in life. Because when you operate from an abundance mentality, when you come from the creative plane, it's impossible for me to beat you to your destiny. It's just impossible, because you've already got that carved out for you. All you have to do is believe, have a vision, have purpose, have faith, have gratitude. That's all it really takes. And to eliminate some negative thoughts. That's really the price for, you can write your ticket to exactly the life you want to create for yourself if you just eliminate negative thoughts. If you could just spend 51% of your thoughts during the day on what you want, for example, 51% of your thoughts on happiness as opposed to sadness or depression. Depression and sadness will leave you forever. It has to. It's law. It's law. It's cause and effect. I won't spend 2 hours talking about that right now. We'll keep this one relatively short, but it is based on science. The acquisition of wealth, whatever you define that as, is absolutely based on science. And again, I'm just really inspired by Tom's vision to prove that, because not only are we going to prove it in our own individual lives, but we're going to prove it in the hundreds of thousands of other people that we're going to inspire to do the same, directly or indirectly. There may be someone watching this exact video right now 50 years from now, and we're going to have the database to back that up. Because if we want to convince the competitive plane that they could do it a lot better and would help a lot more people, we need to kind of play in their terms. And from that perspective, if you want to play in a certain game, you have to play by the rules, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to subscribe to the same rules. You can come from a perspective of really showing up the best that you inspire others to do the same. And as we acquire this data, every single cycle that goes on, it's going to become more and more apparent, and we're going to have popcorn pop. You're going to have situations where somebody achieves their vision, or somebody realizes that they've been living their vision their whole life, or somebody has a breakthrough, whether it's in terms of just seeing the abundance of possibilities that are around them. Also, one of the real aims of the overall gist of this project is to understand that wealth or anything else that you want in your life is not, it's not something outside of you. It's not there. There is no there to achieve. There may be certain numbers that you're not hitting right now that you want to hit, but you can feel the joy of growth every single day. And when you do that, those numbers that you think are super important, and they may be important, they're just going to happen automatically. And it's one of the most exciting parts of the process, is that you don't have to worry about the how to you. All you need to do is show up with your awareness and your other metaphysical tools that every single person has. They're just like muscles. You can flex them. Go flex your metaphysical muscles. Practice getting grateful for 5 minutes a day. Do a thought-focused push-up. Hold one thought in your mind for 15 minutes without letting your mind wander, because your mind's like this flowing river, and the awareness, it ties your boat to the dock, and that dock is where you want to go, or your vision. Because if you don't, and I've certainly experienced this for a big part of my life, you have all these thoughts flying around, and they just kind of, you see that kind of confusion manifested in your life, where you're not really getting what you want out of life. So this is something that we want to feel every single day. It's not an end state that we're looking for. It's not a there that we're trying to get to, because we're already there. But we're going to reveal that every single day, not only to ourselves, but to the world at large. Some really exciting stuff coming up in Q3. We're going to be releasing the Reasonable Wealth app, and also just kind of the Reasonability app, which is going to give a tangential aspect to this project is reasonable coaching. So for those of you who are architects or who want to use these open source thought algorithms for yourself to create a business for yourself, to go out there and really be the best you in front of audiences and doing this kind of interesting work, the app's going to give you that opportunity. It's going to be a turnkey solution for you to just plug in your awesome content and release it to the world. And it's going to be a really cool experience, because the app's going to give you the opportunity to be reminded of these focus points throughout the day. And really, that's what's so critical, is the awareness. Because it's certainly, I've spent a lot of my life like this, where you get up, you go to work, you start checking your email, you're doing stuff. There's so much of the day that you really miss out on the experience. You really miss out on the experience of life, because you spend so much time unconscious. You spend so much time in autopilot. Well, to really get the results that you want, to really steer yourself and where you want to go, awareness is absolutely the key. So the app will give you little reminders and a little bit of awareness, and it will also give you the opportunity to journal your experience, kind of similar to WhatsApp, where you can leave yourself voice notes. I mean, I do this all the time. I've got a WhatsApp chat with myself that I just keep reams and reams of ideas and notes and pictures and all this kind of stuff. It's going to be really awesome, because you're going to look back on that, and you're going to see some really magnificent growth over the next time. And again, this isn't really something that you achieve an end game. You're going to get good at these individual algorithms, and you're going to get to a point where they just become part of your life. Because one of the gems of the 13.4 is that every algorithm, even though you're focusing on a new one in the next week, that other one still sticks with you. Especially on some of the weeks where, for example, like gratitude, where you just begin to find all these things around you that you're so grateful for that you didn't notice before, that always stays with you. And so marginal gains over time just become an incredible amount of momentum. So I'm so pumped to be with you guys on this journey. I don't want to do anything else for the rest of my life but just this kind of stuff, and it's so awesome to be actually doing it already. So look out. We'll be beta testing the app over the next month or two, and we're definitely going to reach out to some of you guys to help do that, because we want to get some feedback before we go live with the app. I believe in the start of Q4, maybe even sooner than that. But really exciting stuff, and if you're interested in helping other people be awesome at whatever, whether it's writing, playing the guitar, wealth creation, business, whatever it is, you have a unique thing to offer. And imagine offering that to an audience through an app and being able to generate some income for you. It's pretty exciting, and so we're working really hard on that aspect right now, and looking to get that to in front of as many people as possible. As soon as possible. I'm talking a ton. I could go all night for 6 weeks about this stuff, guys. Just really pumped to be associated with a group of people like yourselves who are actively trying to get better in their lives. And man, that's it's so inspiring. So Keep it up. It's absolutely impossible for you to get you wrong. Give yourself permission that no matter where you're at, if you stuck with this program every single day, give yourself a high five. If you haven't, if you've let it slack off, it hasn't really been on your mind, don't even worry about it. Just let it go, man. Just continue forward because it's impossible for you to get you wrong. And with that, we'll see you soon.